So basically the story goes like this, is Deborah and I know this person, and he found that his favorite number in all of life was the number 5. And it was understandable because he was born in 1955. He lived at 555 West 5th Avenue in Vancouver. He was raised by a family. He had 5 brothers and 5 sisters. So 5 was something that was running into his life all the time. So he was more than aware that 5 was an important number in his life, and so he chose that as his favorite number. In 2005, on his 50th birthday, he sat down and he picked up the newspaper and he was reading the newspaper and he saw that in Exhibition Park in Vancouver, there was going to be a horse race that took place. And so he checked it out and he looked at it, and sure enough, in the 5th race, running with odds of 5-1, was a horse by the name of Sanko. So he was so excited because, I mean, this is his number. As he turns 50, all these 5s are coming up. So he jumped up, got into his car, and raced down to Exhibition Park and got there to Exhibition Park. And he went and he put $5,000 on the nose of that horse. The horse came in 5th. Now, I share that rather disappointing, apparently, story, because that's really what the theme that we're talking about today is. What we're talking about is we're talking about the power of our own mind. What we're talking about is our ability to create the form in our experience that really reflects how we think, how we feel. We think one thing, we want one thing, we desire one thing, we work purposely towards one thing, and then something else shows up. And the answer is because it's done unto us by that one universal mind which creates all form, creates all experience on life, that which we share, that commonality of one mind. It demonstrates according to our deepest belief. It does not demonstrate according to our superstition, nor does it demonstrate according to our spoken word only. So, for the month of May in 2016, the theme that we're going to be working on is spiritual guidance and personal responsibility for that particular month. And in the first week, on May 1st, we're going to talk about the belief that we believe that life is the logical and necessary outcome of the infinite self-knowingness of God. And this was presented by us by Reverend Larry King out of Portland, Oregon. And the quote that Larry put forward was from Ernest Holmes: "From the infinite knowingness of God, our power to know arises, because our mind springs from that universal mind." Now, the difference is, of course, is that in the infinite mind cannot have any destructive thought. The infinite mind cannot have any conflictual thought. It simply creates according to its own nature, which is love, light, joy, power, beauty. As opposed to the human mind and the individual mind, it still creates accordingly. But it sometimes can create things which stymie us, which restrict us, and which hold us back. And so when we put into mind that what we want to do is we want to create love in our life, but then we carry on with this concept that somehow or other deep within ourselves and our self-conscious, we do not believe that we're worthy of that love, the end result is our horse comes in 5th. The second topic for spiritual guidance and personal responsibility for May is done by Reverend Christy Hardwick, who is from Cape Cod. We see a world in which spiritual guidance is valued. Not spiritual teaching from somebody outside, but guidance within our own self, where we quietly listen to what our truth is, where we understand and know that if there is conflict in our experience, conflict in our life, that it is the result not of him, her, or they, but it is the result of a belief system that we hold uniform in our mind, and that when we break away and get a greater and a bigger idea around that belief system, the transformation is going to result in a different experience and a different effect. And the interior voice is heard strongly and persistently. And when this becomes the case, we do well to heed it. The importance of understanding and following the intuition cannot be exaggerated. So on May 15th, what we're going to do is we're going to do the value of we believe that any person may become the revealer of that truth who lives in close contact with the indwelling God. In other words, what happens is that we will reveal the truth in our experience according to our actions and according to our results. when we hear and heed to that call within ourselves. Now, I'm going to tell you what I believe. I believe that every human being knows the difference between right and wrong. I believe that every human being is resonant with the constant, consistent idea that love overpowers hate, that vitality and energy will overpower ennui. I know this to be the truth. I know that each of us resonates with that. And as we go through life, and as we went through life, starting off at a young age, every time we broke that cycle, every time we took a step away from that, every time we did something that did not resonate with the interior truth that we knew existed, what happens is we move to a defensive mode or an offensive mode in order to be able to justify and protect where we're at. The fourth theme for May 22nd was written by Reverend Brian Akers from Columbia, Maryland. And the value that he's working on is we see a world in which we are called to conscious action. The quote from The Science of Mind is, "Humanity's mind should swing from inspiration to action, from contemplation to accomplishment, from prayer to performance. This would be a well-balanced existence." Walter Starkey wrote a beautiful book called It's All God, and in it he describes what he calls the double thread, which is, this is one thread, which is the ascetic knowing and knowledge that is necessary to be able to become self-disciplined to transform. And then there is the dealing in the terminology of handling and embracing the world itself in its form. What our society is required to learn is to be able to bring those two together so that we can use the spiritual principles in our lives constantly and consistently in how we deal with others, how we deal with our individual life, and how we transform the greater world. To be able to bring ourselves from just having that solitary mindset and be able to bring it in so that what we can do is recognize that that which we call God is everything. The fifth week, which I better move along, is done by Reverend Sue Ellen Miller. And we believe in our own soul, our own spirit, and our own destiny. And we understand that the life of all is God. Once again, Dr. Holmes. Our mind and spirit is our echo of the eternal thing itself. And the sooner we discover this fact, the sooner we shall be made free and made happy. The universe is filled with spirit and filled with law. One reacts to the other. We are spirit and we are law. The law of our life reacts to our spiritual or material concepts and builds and rebuilds according to our beliefs and faith. There is only one thing that is happening. That one thing is God in its perfection. It lays there as an infinite potential that lays all around us. The law says that we create in the same form that it, because we have self-knowingness. We think, therefore we are. Through that ability, what happens, or what creates is created, is according to our beliefs, our experiences demonstrate according to how we hold, what we hold to be true. If we hold violence to be true, the world will create violence and it will enter back into our life and we will see it. If we hold love to be true, love will be created and entered back into our lives so that we may see it. This is true in our society and it's true on the individual level. Because here's what's true. Thought plus feeling equals demonstration. We cannot change the world through our thought. We must apply it to our feelings. And to apply it to our feelings, we must begin to live it and embrace it as its totality. This is who I want to be. This is the life that I have found works for me. And it's who I want you to be as well. Because I want you to be free. I want you to be happy. I want you to be joyful. And most importantly, I want you to live in the principle which works in absolute integrity with who you are. God bless you and thank you so much.
Our sincere thanks to Caesarius Productions for the assistance.